Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Mirko, for organizing. I'm going to talk about the 4-day working week, and it is an idea that arouses general sympathy, but very often it is portrayed as being harmful to the economy. The economy is the price we must pay for the good life. So in my new book, I want to challenge this narrative and explain why I think the 4-day working week will actually improve rather than harm our economies. I view it not as a partisan policy or a win for the labor movement, but as a social innovation, a better way to organize economic activity in the 21st century. I must start with an important distinction. What you usually see in the news is the 4-day week as a management practice implemented by firms to improve their business. So firms that have experimented with a 4-day working week find that workers are more efficient, reduces stress and burnout, they are more innovative, they make fewer mistakes, and as a whole, workers are better off, and firms are also better, more productive. This is different from my proposal. My proposal is what economists call macroeconomic policy. So it's a top-down policy implemented to the entire economy through legislation, giving a period of 4 to 6 years for the adjustment to take place. And the idea is simple. It's to coordinate all economic activity that happens during the week to a coordinated 4 days, Monday to Thursday, let's say offices, banks, stock market, universities, and coordinate all the economic activity that occurs over the weekend in 3 days, Friday to Sunday. There's a lot of economic activity that occurs continuously in the economy, hospitals, hotels, pubs. This would still occur over 7 days, but the standard week for workers would be only 4. While the 4-day working week as a management practice benefits the firms and workers, I think that the wider benefits to society and to the economy will come from this coordinated, from this move being coordinated in the entire economy. Now, I know that this sounds strange because we are used to working 5 days, but there is really nothing biological or theological or astrological about working 5 days. The working week is a social, political, and economic construct. In the 19th century, people worked 6 days a week, and it was in the beginning of the 20th century, 1908, that the first firms adopted this radical management practice called the 5-day working week. One of the most prominent supporters was Henry Ford, that implemented in his factories, but it's still, by 1929, it was still a relatively marginal practice. The 5-day working week moved from the microeconomy, so from the management practice to the macroeconomy, with the approval of the Fair Labor Standards Act, a key piece of legislation, part of the New Deal, that gave 2 years for firms to implement the 5-day 40-hour week that became effective in 1940. First, it only applied to larger firms doing interstate commerce, and then it expanded the coverage in the 50s and in the 60s. Now, the criticisms that you hear today on the 4-day working week are very similar to the criticisms that you heard back then about the 5-day working week. But what is remarkable is that once it was implemented, whether in the US or in Europe or later periods in Asia, the criticisms disappeared, and they gave rise to the first visionaries of the 4-day working week. In the US, most notably Richard Nixon, vice president, in 1956, said the 4-day working week would come soon. This happened because people realized that 5-day work week was a better way to organize economic activity in the 20th century. I think our economies have changed, and now we are at a time where the 4-day working week will be a better way to organize economic activity in the 21st century. Think about it. everything in the last 80 years have changed. The technologies we use, the jobs we do, the speed in which we communicate, the length of our lives, the number of years of education, or the structure of our family, the nature of our social relationships, everything has changed. And we still think about 5 as that magic number, as if it was a constant in mathematics or physics. Now, I'm going to organize my economic arguments, my 8 economic arguments, and to present them, I'm going to enlist the help of 4 of the greatest political economists in history. So, under John Maynard Keynes, reason number 1, because it is possible. Reason number 2, because it will fuel the economy through the demand for leisure industries. Joseph Schumpeter, the prophet of innovation. Reason number 3, because it will increase productivity and because it will unleash the potential of a vast talent pool of innovators. Karl Marx, reason number 5, because it will reduce technological unemployment. And reason number 6, because it will raise wages and reduce inequality. And finally, Frederick von Hayek, reason number 7, because it will give people more freedom to choose what to do with their time. And reason number 8, because it will reconcile a polarized society and crush populist movements. These 4 economists became torchbearers of competing ideologies, and they viewed the economy with different eyes. And that is my meaning of a social innovation, is that whether you are conservative, liberal, progressive, or Marxist, we can find common ground in this idea. We can unite behind this idea. Now, in the book, I explained these benefits of the 4-day working week, but we have to weigh them against the costs of implementing the 4-day working week. And the costs are the costs of disruption, of changing the way we do things. But even those, I think they are much smaller than what the first glance would suggest. And that first glance, that first approach, is to say that because workers are only working 4 days instead of 5, they have to have 20% wage cuts. This is the deal behind most part-time jobs. Now, I think this is only one out of 8 possible adjustments. Most importantly, time is an adjustment. Economies are not static, they are dynamic. In the UK economy, prior to the pandemic, nominal wages were growing at 4% a year. That means that in the space of 5 years, not by cutting wages, but just reducing the wage growth, we can implement the 5-day working week. But even this adjustment might not be necessary because the firms that have tried it, or the public sector institutions that have tried, found large increases in productivity and reduction in costs. Now, this might not happen to all types of jobs, but there are other alternatives. If you increase half an hour or 1 hour in the remaining days, that accounts already for 1/4 or 1/2 of the total adjustment. Plus, you can adjust holidays as well, since now you only need 4 days holidays to have a week off. Firms can adjust their prices, reduce oversized profits, or there could be government subsidies. The point is, there won't be only one form of adjustment. There will be a combination, and it's the fact that it's a combination of 8 possible adjustments that surely will be different for different occupations, for different firms, for different industries, and even for different countries. And it's the fact that we'll blend these 8 adjustment possibilities that will minimize the disruption to the economy. Now, in the public sector, it's different because institutions cannot increase prices or reduce profits, but you still have a wide range of possibilities. Now, I want to finish by discussing what this could mean for the Brighton and Hove City Council. Well, you're not in Downing Street, so I'm barking at the wrong door with my idea to implement it to the whole economy, but you can still play a role just by providing more evidence of the implementation of the management practice. And I don't advise anyone to just do it. I think the best is to first trial it for 3 months to measure the productivity gains and the cost reductions in different departments. There will be an important decision to make is whether you want to coordinate on all workers working Monday to Thursday, or as a management practice, you would prefer to give everyone a different day off. You have to invest much in preparing it, partner with academic researchers. This was the key for the success of the Icelandic experiment and why it's got attracted so much attention, because they measured very well with the control and the treatment group. They were able to measure these productivity gains. There are many campaigns out there to support this move. In parallel, you should survey workers with concrete proposals. Would they sacrifice 5% of their wage for a 4-day working week? Would they forego their wage increases in the future for an extra Friday per month and a 4-day working week in 4 years? Or are they willing to work 1 hour more in the remaining days? By assessing the views of workers together with the productivity gains, then you can design for each type of worker, each or different occupation, you can design the best way to implement a 4-day working week. And now I'm happy to take questions.